Hello everybody and welcome back to the CLEN channel where we play a game and talk about anything MMA related. Today I have an interesting idea for you guys. What press conference could the UFC put on that would generate the most hype? Because I was watching the Israel Adesanya press conference for the last big pay-per-view, and him versus Strickland talking with each other was so much fun. And then I realized, like, okay, UFC press conferences aren't like that anymore. Why aren't they like that? It's because obviously the fighters there, like, they're not nearly as entertaining as they used to be on the microphone. A lot of people are trying way too hard now. It's like even Sean O'Malley wasn't exciting at the press conference. You get the point. I had so much fun listening to Israel Adesanya and Sean Strickland go back and forth with each other, and then that got me thinking of a long time ago. It was like 6 years ago or something in high school, where it was like they were talking about, Dana was entertaining the idea of having a UFC roast. Like, what if you just put so many fighters on stage together and just let them go wild? But I was thinking, like, maybe you could do something for like UFC 300 and put on every single giant fight that you can possibly imagine. And then it just got me thinking of the idea of what if there was a giant UFC press conference for just entertainment value. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So just for the complete fun of it, I am going to show off my own idea for a UFC press conference. If you just want to entertain the people, if you just want to do it for the hell of it, and if you want to put the fights together, go for it. And I'm going to go from the one side, like I'm going to keep fighters on one side, just like UFC does for a press conference, and I'm going to very, very horribly put them on a picture for you guys to just show what the press conference would be like and why I would like to see it. And I'd love to know what you guys think afterwards, and thank you in advance for clicking on this video, guys. So like I just mentioned, on the left side of the press conference, we are going to start with Israel Adesanya, with the right side Sean Strickland. Those two were people at the press conference that I did not expect to start going at it. Sean Strickland 10-5'd Israel Adesanya in the trash talk. I would love to see way more of it because Strickland didn't care. He was like, you know, a lot of people hold themselves back from saying things because of the way the world is today. Strickland came onto the scene and people really seemed to like what he's doing, and I was so entertained by it myself. And we learned that Israel is actually, well, we didn't really learn it. Israel Adesanya isn't the best trash talker, right? But Strickland, he was hilarious, and I can't say I love him as a guy, but he's so unbelievably entertaining, and it's really cool to see. I cannot wait to see more of that. So adding on to that, next to Israel Adesanya, we are going to have Conor McGregor. How can you have a press conference if you're just looking for entertainment without Conor McGregor? And next to him, we're going to throw the last fight on Nate Diaz's UFC contract. Imagine the back and forth between these two. And I can imagine Nate, I don't know why. I can just imagine Nate going, fuck you to Sean whenever he's talking. I can just imagine it. Regardless, it's always fun, Conor and Nate. And one of my favorite clips ever was Conor McGregor going, like, or the interviewer was like, okay, guys, we're going to get a quick count to 10. And then Conor was like, Nate can only count to 5. Count to 10 if you can, Nate. We're going to get more of that. And talking about his skinny, fat body. And Nate's like, you're playing touch butt with that dork in the park. Classic stuff. And with that being said, we're going to move on. How can you also not have a press conference like this and adding Colby Covington to it? On the other side of it, we're gonna put on, before I say this, I am a huge Dustin Poirier fan. I just love the memes. We're gonna put in Louisiana Swamp Trash Dustin Poirier. Again, huge Dustin Poirier fan. I just love the memes. But Colby and Dustin at a presser would be nothing like. A lot of people don't like Colby. Well, people are like now warming up to it. People don't think Colby is just like good at trash talking. I find him hilarious, especially like as time goes on and you understand Colby Covington's act, where he's just like says something completely outrageous. Reminds me of Andrew Tate a little bit. If you've seen any TikToks with Andrew Tate, where it's just like he'll say something so outrageous and like people will be like, okay, that's stupid, but it's just funny because it's so outrageous in that sense. Like Colby will say something and then just sit there and go as they're talking back to him. I just love it. Imagine the trash talk between Colby and Dustin Poirier, and you know Colby would start going after Conor McGregor, right? I feel like Colby would feed off of Sean Strickland's energy, maybe against Israel Adesanya, and be calling boring. Then Colby would talk about going up to 185, even though he has absolutely no intention on doing that, and he's gonna go take down Izzy and fight him. I feel like a lot with all 6 of those fighters could just make for a fun, really fun experience. And especially, I didn't even touch on Nate Diaz. Imagine Colby Covington going on Nate Diaz. Imagine the brain cell jokes that would fly there, and it would be a lot of fun. It really would be. Next up, we have a little bit of a throwback. We are going to add into this TJ Dillashaw and Cody Garbrandt. Have you ever thought about that? Did you remember the long time ago, those press conferences? Some of the worst trash talk you will ever see, yet it's entertaining. Now, TJ wouldn't offer a lot there, but we're going to throw him in there because Cody Garbrandt and him have a lot of like really fun back and forth. And I should mention that this is all like active fighters that I'm putting on here. It's just, imagine those two going at it. But the reason why is I wanted Cody Garbrandt on there because he's one of those people like Nate Diaz, where he sucks so bad at trash talking that he would almost sit there as just a punching bag. So I can imagine someone like Conor McGregor, for example. They've had their history. Conor McGregor would start going after Cody Garbrandt. You know, Conor McGregor, he talks trash to people, and he already knows he could beat Cody Garbrandt, and Cody like grabbed him by the neck or tried. Oh no, he grabbed TJ by the neck. Regardless, you remember that he pushed Conor McGregor in the Ultimate Fighter, and I can see a lot of stuff coming from that. And who knows with Colby Covington, he could just go on and just jump in and say something ridiculous, right? Next up, now these two aren't like perfect for each other on the sides, but we are going to add Jorge Masvidal and Marvin Vettori. Now we're gonna start off with Masvidal. Just imagine the more of the stuff with him, because Colby beat him up for 25 minutes and he was still talking trash to Colby Covington, even like with his hand on his like whoever that was. Someone was holding him up because he couldn't breathe, and he was still mouthing off to Colby, then sucker punch him. Imagine a press conference with them. You sit these two down again, and imagine the way Colby Covington would just rub his win into Masvidal's face, and then it would just get even worse from there. And then Colby would go, like, every single time you talk about Colby talking to Masvidal, Colby would like go off of that and start attacking everybody else at that press conference. It'd just be a lot of fun. And then McGregor would feed off that energy and start attacking people. I can see this being really fun. And on the other side, I just like, again, these two don't go together. I just want a Masvidal necessary pretty much for the trash talk with Colby Covington. But now Marvin Vettori, who knew he was so much fun at press conferences? Who knew? I didn't know. And then it was like, how the heck is that even a question? And he was talking to Adesanya. So you have people in the division. You have Adesanya and you have Strickland. Imagine like the way you could feed off that. Marvin Vettori is still talking about like he won that fight against Israel Adesanya, even though there was no chance he won that fight. And Adesanya spanked him at the end. He's like, he's probably going to be like, I tapped you right on your ass at the end of that fight. And you didn't do anything. And then he's going to sit there and be like, that doesn't matter. I won the fight. And I could so see it being something hilarious to happen. So I do want Marvin Vettori there. Now, adding on to that, the left side, we are going to add both Paulo Costa, and then on the right side, we're going to add Robbie Lawler. Now, again, middleweight division madness. Paulo Costa. Who knew, again, just like Vettori, that this guy would just be so funny? Have you looked at Paulo Costa's Twitter? The guy is really, like I just saw, for example, on Costa's Twitter, where it's like, he just posted that he elbows a bunch of nurses. He's so feeding into the meme of himself and the fact that he doesn't make weight that people are really liking Paulo Costa, including myself. Like, I'm not saying I love him as a guy. It's just like, I'm so excited to be Paulo Costa. I am so into the meme. I want to see whatever he does. I even check his Twitter. It's crazy. So I can see him going off on Izzy, talking about drinking wine. He'll still kick his ass, and then he's gonna go off on Strickland, because I can see that happening. Costa will just probably have beef with everybody. We have people in the middleweight division there. Costa Vettori would be so much fun at a press conference. I can just see nothing but gold there. Really, I really can't. Now, the reason why I added Robbie Lawler there was because, have you ever seen any press conferences that Robbie Lawler was at? He says like nothing, but he sits there and just laughs his ass off. He just laughs and laughs and laughs, and I love seeing the memes about it, where it's like, oh my god, it was so wholesome. This guy said this, and then look how hard Robbie Lawler laughed. So it could be like a contest, see who made Robbie Lawler laugh the most, and then I could see a lot of videos coming out from that. Now, lastly, guys, we are going to end off this press conference. At the end, we are going to have Kamaru Usman and Khamzat Chimaev. Now, Chimaev, I think like he could offer something, because he's not necessarily a good trash talker. It's just like he'll be like, I kill everybody, I'm coming for Kamaru, I kill everybody. And then, but Usman, he's going to have Conor. He's going to have Colby. He's going to have Masvidal. And God knows who else is going to pick fights with him. Nate Diaz, the Diaz twins. Like, remember Nate Diaz wanted to fight Kamaru Usman? You could go in there too. I could see nothing but complete entertainment. Imagine the absolute chaos that would come from this press conference. And then Usman would just be like to Colby, I broke your face. And then Colby's going to be like, you do nothing. And then Masvidal's like, I'm going to kick your ass, Colby. And then it's, of course, like, it doesn't sound funny coming out of my mouth, but I think that these fighters here, if you want to make a press conference just for entertainment value, you have to have all of these fighters on the card. You have Israel Adesanya, Conor McGregor, Colby Covington, TJ Dillashaw, Jorge Masvidal, Paulo Costa, Kamaru Usman, Strickland, Nate Diaz, Dustin Poirier, Cody Garbrandt, Marvin Vettori, Robbie Lawler, and Khamzat Chimaev. The UFC needs to get on this. I feel like if you want to just like sit there and like, even just for a fan event for International Fight Week or something, have a press conference or just even a fan Q&A. Imagine the amount of trash talk that would come from that. Just even a fan Q&A. They could say something like, I don't know, Nate's a vegan. You know, like, remember that guy who was like, how can you claim to be hard when you're a vegan? And then Colby would jump onto that and be like, yeah, he's a Stockton soy boy. It's just, I can so see it happening. The amount of potential that this press conference could generate and the amount of hype for a UFC card would be absolutely incredible, and I would love to see it. There was no point in making this video, but I would really like to see the UFC do something like this one day, because again, like sometime when I was in high school, Dana White was entertaining the idea of a UFC roast. Someone asked him about it. I don't really remember the details of it, but that got me thinking. I wanted to make this video. So guys, let me know what you think down below of this ridiculous press conference, and who would you add to it? Who would you take off? Because the only one that I could really see wanting to take off is like Robbie Lawler, but I find it so wholesome, Robbie Lawler, like laughing at people's jokes, right? But anyways, guys, let me know what you think, and thank you so much for watching this video.